Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 4106, 4106. Today's date is June 16, 2026. It's been almost like a morning at 7:51 a.m. Okay, there is a kind of like I don't know. I'm yesterday. There is a kind of like a episode happened at my home. What episode? Um, Regarding about you didn't really become succeed, you are 32, you are still living with us, stupid shit, pathetic, whatever. Yeah, these are kind of like some of the stuff that I am kind of like listening. I'm kind of like used to with this thing. Okay, from parents and I'm kind of like somebody feel really good, like not good, but like I realize something. I don't know what exactly is that. I try to kind of like tell you something. Okay, I'm not really sure about this thing, but this is what I experience throughout whatever the life that I live. Okay, um, okay, it's not. It's a kind of like a things that na ki I don't know, but this is kind of like a things. Let's just say three baby A, baby B, baby C. Okay, now, a baby is actually born in a rich house, rich family. Uh, let's just say a kind of like a lawyer family. Okay, lawyer, not royal family, a kind of like a business family. Okay, his father is a business person. His mother is a kind of like a somewhat something doing kind of like a NGOs and things. He has a big house. Like everything is kind of like a covered. Like this particular person born in his category, A baby. B baby is a kind of like a something is this thing that he born in kind of like a somewhat something middle class family. Let's just say his father is a kind of like a teacher and like basically just kind of like a somebody just middle class family, and C person is actually born in a lower class family. Let's just say his father is a kind of like a doing a kind of like a something like a like a rozgar things, okay, daily wages things and that. Okay, yeah. I try to compare that key uh, regarding about their environment, how they will gonna succeed besides their talent. Okay, because um, like a environment is a kind of like a somebody key role perform regarding about how much you achieve your success. Your talent is also perform the key role, but talent comes later. Your environment come first. Let me tell you something regarding about that. Okay, the person who actually born in a rich family, regarding about let's just say a kind of like a how he born. So his mother, the when he was kind of like a born, he has everything. The mother is a kind of like a fulfill. She gets every nutrition values, things and that. There are a lot of kind of like people are taking care for that a kind of like a environment and things and that. And when the A person actually born, he born really healthy. He has a kind of like a there is no nutrition malfunction, nothing really at all. From scientific point of perspective, this particular person born in a really perfect way. He has a really good weight, good nutrition values, everything's really okay. Now let's talk about the B person. The B person is kind of like a something like a B person in born in kind of like a something somewhat say kind of like a private hospital, but not that private. Okay, um, let's just say a mother is a kind of like a something she didn't really get like a, she has a kind of like a something that she didn't really have that much malnutrition, but kind of like a somewhat something she has. Okay, and she like basically let's just say the baby A born with a kind of like 100% of kind of like some nutrition values and things and that, The B person actually born with a kind of like a, let's just say, a kind of like a 60% with a nutrition value, regarding about how he born and things and surrounding situation. Let's just say kind of like a somebody mother would be kind of like a somebody that he kind of like a doing a job while like she didn't get the maternity leave, or she get the maternity leave for very less amount of time, and for that maternity leave she have to quit the job and things and then kind of like a something that baby be born with a kind of like a little less malnutrition, maybe like just 60% of nutrition. The baby C is actually born very worse. He born in kind of like a government hospital. His mother is cannot able to be afford any nutrition value, nothing really at all. The mother is kind of like a barely surviving, and the baby C is actually born with a kind of like a very less malnutrition, like nothing really at all. Okay, his weight is a kind of like a very less. He's like his body organ does not really develop that much. Lot of kind of like complication, but baby C actually born alive born. Okay, so this is a kind of like a baby A, baby B, and baby C. Baby A is already, because like let me tell you one thing, success is kind of like a depend upon your health too. Okay, how good is your health, and the health is kind of like a something depend upon how you born. The having kind of like a really good kind of like a something nutrition values and things and that it kind of like a something uh, increase the chances of being much more healthy person. You will not gonna get that much kind of like some disease and things and that. B person is a kind of like a something is this thing that ki like this is kind of like a thing. This is what kind of like a being regarding about healthy and things and that. Like basically is this thing regarding about success. How much success will gonna achieve also depends on health now. Okay, so how much health is kind of like a really good for achieving success in his life. Baby A is 100 out of 100. His health is really good, really great, perfect. Baby B is 100 out of 60. Baby C is 100 out of 30. So before even race start, they already kind of like a something, they already kind of like a left behind baby B and baby C regarding about baby A, because baby A is a kind of like a something getting a lot of malnutritions and things and that. Probably baby B or baby C kind of like a born with a kind of like a somewhat something deficiency or whatever it is. But this is kind of like a things that they born, and almost like a 80% of the 80, not 80, almost like a 90-95% of the people is actually born on this category, baby B and baby C. If I'm kind of like a counting only baby C, the baby C are almost consuming almost like a 80% of the population is actually born on that way. Okay, uh, I am kind of like consider myself as a baby B. Okay, yeah, uh, but yeah, baby B, I am kind of like a born with kind of like a really good, like it's not really, my situation is not really like a really worse, but somewhat something good. But there are almost like 80% of the population actually born in kind of like a somebody baby B, baby C kind of like a category and things and that. So do you understand? So if I'm kind of like a giving the points regarding about that key, who will kind of like a have a higher chances to achieve the success just the way that they born, I'm gonna say kind of like a 10 out of 10 baby A, 10 out of 6 baby B, 10 out of 3 baby C. Okay, so this is kind of like a they born. Now let's jump into the after the 5 year. What is exactly happened after the 5 year? Okay, so let's talk about the baby A. What is actually happened after the 5 year? What is actually happened? The baby A is actually born and kind of like a somebody evolved around a kind of like a really good people, a happy family, kind of like a things. Okay, emotions are really essential for achieving your goals and succeed and things and that. Why? The more you happy, the more you kind of like a something higher chances to be kind of like a mind clear, good. Like basically is this thing na ki example is this thing that ki when you do study, and if you are kind of like a study with your fresh mind, you can study better, but if you have something stuck inside your head, you cannot study. So same logic apply over here. A baby A does not really have any kind of like a responsibility or anything at all, and he's a kind of like a grown up with all the supportive structure regarding about the parents that they provide and things and that. So basically is this thing that ki uh, baby A always getting a kind of like a really good. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Baby A, baby B, baby C are also kind of like a something born in different situation, different cities. Okay, let's kind of like a thing. City and big cities, city and villages, these are kind of like a three essential things, because these are also really essential too, because it represent the kind of like a how that particular person will become in the future. Okay, the person who kind of like a born in big city, let's just say Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, whatever it is, he would have higher chances for achieving goals, or he would have higher chances of opportunity to achieve the goals. uh, Same goes with the baby, a tier, like a let's just say tier 3 city. Tier 3 city is a kind of like a, let's just say, almost like a 50% chances get opportunity to get success, 50%, almost half. And the person who actually born in village, almost like a 90% of the opportunity is cut down. 90%, literally. Like, have you seen the transition? 90% of the opportunity cut down. Okay, yeah. And only 10% of opportunity that he have to get succeeded, regarding about when, where they born. Okay, or where they kind of like live the entire life. Big city, I'm talking about Indian context point of perspective. I'm not really sure about the rest of the country and things like that. I'm trying to tell you from Indian context point of perspective. Okay, so the person, but why do you think that a kind of like a somebody person who born at the village have only 10% of the opportunity to get succeed? um Example, a person who just graduated, now he wanted to earn money. The particular person who kind of like a live in big city, he have opportunity to kind of like a work on pizza shop, work on kind of like a something that he kind of like a whatever, like a basically, even if that particular person is not kind of like a category of baby A, baby B, even if the kind of like a baby B is actually born at big city, okay, he would have higher opportunity to kind of like a somebody go something. He always have like a big city always have kind of like a some certain things to work, does not really kind of like a somebody struggle for kind of like a getting a job and things and that for the kind of like a people who born in big city. Okay, yeah. uh Same logic apply over here, because the big city, like this is not a big city, this is a kind of like a local hometown. So probably is this thing that key, like there is no job. Okay, let me tell you one thing. It's not about job, it's a kind of like a perception. uh, the person who could able to be do a job in pizza shop, okay, yeah, is a kind of like a somewhat something looking at the perspective as a respectable job from Indian context point of perspective, even if that particular person work on the pizza shop. Same person work on kind of like a something somewhat something hotel in tier 2 tier 1 city, does not get that much respect. People called him chotu, like literally chotu. The salary of the same person that you get to work on pizza shop might get kind of like a, let's just say, 15,000. I'm kind of like a telling you from today's point of perspective, he's just serving the pizza, 15,000. Okay, the same person who is kind of like a working on tier 2 city might gonna get kind of like a 7 to 8,000. And the person who is a kind of, there is, this job is not even exist over here, literally not even exist, because there's nothing really at all, like there is no hotel, there is no pizza shop over here in the village and things and that. And almost 90% of the people are actually born over there, like on this category, the kind of like a somewhat something, the tier 3 city, so tier 3 city and kind of like a villages and things and that they didn't really get the opportunity to get succeeded. Okay, yeah. So location is also really matter too. Okay, I'm gonna try. Okay, the most of the kind of like a some bigger people, the baby A environment, baby B environment, baby C environment, baby A environment, mostly associated with a big city. The rich person usually stay at big city, Bombay, Bangalore, Delhi, things and that. So they always have kind of like a better opportunity, also better environment to kind of like achieve their goals and things and that. uh, the the person who actually born it kind of like somebody tier 3 city with local hometown, he would have kind of like a very less opportunity, and same goes with the village, even less, like literally almost like a 10%. All right. Do you understand this kind of like somebody graph? Okay. I am not talking about the talent is not even come yet. just talking about just the environment and how much environment is kind of like affecting regarding about their success and things and that and that. Let's talk about the after 5 year what will gonna happen regarding about the kind of like a something uh, baby A, baby B, baby C. Baby A, let's talk about, he kind of like a grew up in really good family, really good the emotions and things and kind of like a mentality is really good, really great. He kind of like a really good quality of sleep, he is kind of like a getting good quality of nutrition, he kind of like a playing some sort of games and things, puzzle games and whatnot. The parents are kind of like a providing as much as best as kind of like a possibilities. Okay, so their physical health good, their nutrition value good, they are kind of like a regarding about looking at the perspective always a good. Okay, yeah. So the talent is not even started, but kind of like the baby is a kind of like a have a kind of like a the playing field is a kind of like a became something much more better. The kind of like a land is became more fertile to kind of like a to kind of like a generate the millions of forest and things and that and that. This is kind of like a things. Okay, yeah. So these actually happen in kind of like a something baby A. Let's say baby B. Baby B is a kind of like a goes through a lot of struggle. First of all, the parents is not mostly with them. Why? Because the parents are kind of like a doing a job. Father as well as mother, mostly kind of like a father is kind of like a doing a job. Mother is a kind of like a somebody doing a kind of like a housewife. The because of this thing, kind of like a father is kind of like a taking care of the responsibility of external factor regarding about house, the finance and kind of like a things, probably kind of like issue regarding about some sort of amount of money, EMI and things and that and that. The mother is also kind of like a try to kind of like a help the father and things and that and that. But money is a kind of like always been issue. This money issue is not even exist in the baby A environment. Baby B environment, money is a kind of like a big issue. So let me tell you one thing what exactly happened through the mentality. Baby A is actually born with a kind of like a no issue at money. He might think that money is just kind of like a just a instrument of kind of like a doing the transaction, that's it. Baby B is actually born with a kind of like a deficiency of money regarding about their parents are kind of like always been struggle regarding about money and things and that and that. So because of this thing, what is actually this thing? The baby A is a kind of like a focus on achieving higher quality of intelligence regarding about studies and things and that because he never really experienced as a kind of like a money was not even a kind of like considered because money kind of like a thing as a instrument of transaction. But baby B is a his mentality change. Why? Because money is a kind of like a very much essential. You don't have money, you don't have house, don't have food, don't have anything. Entire life represent regarding about how much money that you have. So basically the baby B chasing money instead of intelligence. Do you understand? The baby B chasing money instead of intelligence because from his surrounding environment kind of like a focus on just a kind of like a money. Parents are kind of like a talking and things and that. Obviously it's not only that, but kids listen. Okay, and the early stage of the life, kids are kind of like a prone to listen much more regarding about their environment and things and that. So the basically is this thing that money is a kind of like a somewhat something he thinks that money is a very much essential more than intelligence. And probably intelligence is not even kind of like a comes at the age of 5, nothing really at all. Okay, yeah. This is a kind of like a situation number baby B. Let's say baby C. Baby C is worse. Literally he already born with malnutrition, but still kind of like a try to figure it out how good is kind of like a health and things and that. Okay, yeah. He kind of like a get food twice in a day. From today's point of perspective, he get twice in a food, but not the quality of the food. Okay, his environment is almost nothing. The parents are not even exist. Both the parents are kind of like a doing kind of like a rozgar and things and that. Okay, yeah. He grew up with the grandparents or kind of like a things that probably our grandparents would be something like that. Entire responsibility of the home is kind of like a depend on them. Okay, yeah. The parents are kind of like a do the kind of like a rozgar and things and that those kids are kind of like a somebody stay at home till the age of 5. They are kind of like a stay at home, maybe kind of like their grandparents are kind of like a somebody just things and that, but they are not kind of like a provided that much amount of value, nothing really at all. Now their situation, their surrounding is a kind of like a way much worse. Why? Because of that, The scarcity of the money, this is the one issue, because they don't really have any kind of like a money and things and that. So this is a kind of like a issue. So they always kind of like think that ki money is a kind of like a very much important. Okay, let me tell you something. The particular person born in a baby B environment, money is importance, but they kind of like tell you the ethic, that ki what is exactly you should do for money, for earning money, or what shouldn't you supposed to be do with kind of like earning money. A good way to earn money, bad way to earn money. A baby B is a kind of like environment, kind of like tell us a good way to earn money. Okay, this is kind of like a situation in baby B situation. Baby C situation, there is no kind of like ethics regarding about that how should you supposed to earn money. Okay, yeah, because their environment is always been struggle. The father is a kind of like a doing a rozgar thing, probably kind of like a once in a week they are kind of like a somebody doing consuming alcohol. Okay, let me tell you one thing. The alcohol is also consumed in baby A, alcohol is also consumed in kind of like a baby B, alcohol is also consumed in baby C, regarding about their parents and things and that. But the higher chances that more alcohol consumed in baby C environment as compared to baby A, baby B. Why? The baby A environment is a kind of like a grown up environment, and they understand the how much value that alcohol add and how much destructive that is, because whatever the success that they achieve, so they understand, and that's why they might gonna consume alcohol. It's not really that, but very controlled way. Baby B environment is a kind of like a something that he achieve their like they consume the alcohol. It's not really that they didn't really consume. Sorry about this kind of like a disturbance, just fucking up. Okay, so baby B environment, they consume the alcohol with but kind of like a somebody just they don't really have any time. Like a probably let's just say a baby A environment might gonna consume maybe kind of like a somebody once in a 6 months. A baby B environment kind of consume alcohol once in a month. Baby C environment consume once in a week. Who will actually consume the alcohol? Usually father figure is actually consuming the alcohol. Okay, yeah. Why am I kind of like a mention the alcohol? The higher chances why does kind of like a baby C environment consume so many alcohol, is because of lack of money, one thing. Another thing, they need a kind of like a instant gratification. Why? Because in their life there is nothing really at all to consider as a kind of like a simply happiness moment and things and that. So they rely on kind of like a something that is temporary happiness, and alcohol is a kind of like a give them temporary happiness. So higher chances, I'm not really sure, but higher chances than baby A, baby B, baby C has a higher chances that their father might gonna consume alcohol weekly, maybe daily. Okay, yeah. And because of alcohol create a very toxic culture at their home. Father kind of like a do the job, do the rozgar, at the evening they kind of like a drink the alcohol, and because of they drink the alcohol they kind of like create the toxic environment in their family and things and that. Okay, yeah. So baby C kind of like a born with there is no ethic. Like ethic is very much essential because there is no ethic at all. So when there is no ethic, the baby C kind of like a somebody more higher chances that kind of like a do something wrong thing, because he doesn't really consider that is a wrong thing, because his ethic does not kind of like a represent. Also the money is really essential, because the money is kind of like a very much essential. Not having money means nothing really at all. So this is what it is. Ethics are kind of like a too much. Ethics are very less. Ethics are negligible in baby C environment. This is a kind of like a 5 year of things. There are so many things are actually happening over here too in 5 year, probably a lot of stuff, but I'm kind of like a giving you average point of perspective. Maybe kind of like I miss some sort of amount of point, but this is how I kind of like experience. Okay, now let's say after a kind of like a 15 year. Okay, yeah. After the 15 year, what is exactly change in baby A, baby B, baby C? Okay, let's talk about the 15 year. The at the age of baby became 50 at the age of 15. What exactly happened? What exactly is this thing? Let's talk about the kind of like a something baby A situation. At the age of 15, they are kind of like a how like a, the baby is a kind of like a really good health, really better understanding regarding about life, really good intelligence, and there are a lot of people for supporting and things and that. Money is not even issues. and things and that, because the external factor are kind of like a somebody showing us something really good way. Now talent are kind of like a showing their thumbs, showing their stuff. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Talent is not come from the way you born. Sorry, talent is does not come from the brain. It come from the way you born. Okay, the way you born, the how you kind of like your environment and things and that. Because of baby A have a higher opportunity chances to grow. Baby A has a kind of like a higher malnutrition and kind of like a some training. People look at to you, happiness, intelligence, ethics, and kind of like a things and that. Baby A kind of like a showing the talent, and because of he is not having that much talent, a kind of like a average talent, but with the average talent, that particular person achieve very higher growth. Okay, yeah, this is kind of like a things. At the age of 15 things might gonna change over here. He is kind of like a looking at the life through emotionally, because at the age of 15 puberty hits, the emotional kind of like a things, because our brain is a kind of like a way towards the emotional point of perspective. So basically in this situation people might gonna do something stupid shit, because your brain is a kind of like a go through like a your like a prefrontal cortex is not really kind of like a developed that much, completely focus on kind of like a simply the back version, the like we are kind of like a tend to took the decision regarding about the emotion much more than logic, because logic is not even developed at this age. Okay, it develop, but develop means like that ki it develop, we understand A for apple, B for ball, and things and that, but we don't know what exactly it means, we don't know what exactly the value it came from, the logic came after the like after the age of 25 and things and that. So basically that particular person just kind of like a knows that A for apple, B for ball, but he doesn't really have that logic and things and that. But emotion is a kind of like a really evolved that much at the age of 15. Okay, and because of this emotion, even if the baby A, baby B, baby C, they kind of like took the wrong step in their life because of the emotion. Okay, what exactly is this thing? I don't really get it. Like, what's exactly wrong thing? Okay, yeah. Um, Example. Okay. Usually at this age, our human body are kind of like a move towards the kind of like a somebody, kind of like a have a kind of like a sexual urges. Um, yeah, because this is very much common, and that sexual urges is kind of like a goes through emotional point of perspective. Okay, because nature is a kind of like a solely focusing on survival of the fittest. Okay, and nature is actually wanted to kind of like a reproduce yourself more. Okay, so at the age of 15 this is kind, that's why kind of like a somebody nature kind of like a focusing on the reproduction, they are kind of like a somebody pushing you that much purity and things and that it's actually happening nature point of perspective everywhere, even if the baby A, baby B, baby C, yeah. But how much they control that thing, it depends on their environment and things and that. Let's say at the age of 15 the particular person at the age of baby A, he is a kind of like a liking some sort of amount of girl, have a kind of like attraction towards kind of like a particular girl and things and that. Okay, yeah, which is very much common. Okay, yeah. Now kind of like a look at how he approach the girl, regarding about how much intelligence that he have, and regarding about how much training or how much influence that he have regarding about a kind of like a things, he might fall into that particular girl in love. Okay, yeah, and he approach very nicely, peacefully, a kind of like a better way to approach a girl and things and that, and probably at the age of 15, 16, or 17 he might get into the relationship. Why? Because of that ki in this surrounding situation, the every other people who are also kind of like a somebody goes through same, because the kind of like a somebody, the boy is a kind of like a have sexual urges, as well as the girl have a kind of like a sexual urges too. Obviously they will not going to perform the sexual activity, but because of this attraction they are more towards the kind of like a get into the relationship and things and that. Okay, yeah, get into the relationship, it's not get married, they just get into the relationship, they just understand each other and things and that. Okay, this is kind of like a things, what kind of like a things happen, not the age of 15, it started from 15 to 20. Okay, yeah, this is kind of like a things. Is it bad decision? Well, probably it's not a bad decision, but it's not a good decision. It's, I don't know what exactly is this thing, but this is kind of like a stuff. Okay, like a you me everyone kind of like experience. I might not be right at the kind of like in this context, because I don't really have kind of like a exact proof point, but this is what I experience. Okay, this is kind of like a things. Okay, Another thing, at this age we are living in modern world, the technology is a kind of like a somewhat something that ki very much kind of like a things, the person who kind of like a nerd regarding about technology, regarding about which phone and things that should supposed to be accessed and things and that and that and that and that and that. So the kind of like a thing is that now this kind of like a particular person who kind of like a baby A would have a kind of like a things that na ki he kind of like a focus regarding about the mobile phone technology and things. um, it's a kind of like this topic is not kind of like exactly right, because I am kind of like a somebody technology nerd, but not other people probably. So I would kind of like a skip that thing. Okay, yeah. Most of people are technology nerd kind of like a things. But I'm not saying as an average, because many people are not really that much, but they would have kind of like a somebody wanted to know that okay, I wanted to use this phone, this kind of like a that, this kind of like a that, like a little bit of technology influence probably would be over there. I'm not really sure, but this would be kind of like a things I'm going to include that point. Okay, yeah. Technology and kind of like a love and things and that. Okay, yeah. The particular person is also kind of like have really good relationship, like a, not in good relationship, but kind of like a somewhere he started the relationship, he try to understand the things and that simultaneously kind of like a doing a study and things and that and that and that too. Okay, yeah. This is kind of like a things. Okay, the baby A does not experience the struggle at this. Oh, baby A does not experience the struggle at this moment. Okay, why is not? Because he gets everything. Okay, struggle means what? Struggle means I'm not saying that he kind of like somebody survive or kind of like a not having food or maybe kind of like a things. No, survive means what that na ki a kind of like a things that na a kind of like a problem or kind of like a things, like it's not really that ki human are wanted to kind of like a become a criminal. No, the environment kind of like a key role and things and that and that. Usually is this thing at this age, if the particular person, like okay, let me tell you one thing, in the movies and things and that people are kind of in the movies kind of like a showcase that the person who kind of like a born in rich family, the that particular person will become alcoholic, became kind of like a doing something stupid shit, or they will not gonna kind of like a some respect to the kind of like a little less people and things and that. This might gonna come maybe kind of like a 20 year ago, but right now because of the ethics and digital environment and things and that this is not. So basically is this thing that ki the spoiled brat will kind of like create more before 20 year, but right now it will not, it will not, definitely not. Okay, so spoiled brat will not gonna create at the baby a kind of like environment, they are kind of like a became more kind of like a became better and things and that. Okay, yeah. So this is kind of like some things. Now let's talk about kind of like a something baby B situation. In the baby B situation, what will gonna happen? In the baby B situation, obviously, what kind of like a mistake that he do? Same puberty actually happened, but the problem is that na ki does he kind of like a get a girl or does he kind of like a get into the relationship? No. Why? Like this is a kind of like a good thing happened over here in the baby B situation. Why? Because of that, the scarcity of the money. He already knew he doesn't really have money. His parents are already kind of like somebody that is struggling regarding about money and things and that and that. Having a kind of like some girlfriend or things or kind of like a doing something even more little bit experiment, little bit of kind of like expenses he can't afford. But he might have kind of like attraction towards girls and things and that, but that particular person does not really approach. um they did approach them, like I'm not really sure, but kind of like a things that na I'm kind of like telling you from average point of perspective. I'm not really sure the exact number, I'm not really sure what the personal particular oh, what the person will gonna do, what the person will not gonna do. It's a very vague thing, it's a completely vague thing, because um like my mother is actually calling me. Okay, yeah, and even if I didn't really went there, then this episode will gonna continue again, and I don't want to kind of like a things and that. Should I continue? Well, I will gonna continue. I have to be do my breakfast. Okay, yeah, and whatever the time I will get, I will kind of like a talk, because this is a really good kind of like a insight that I'm experience. I don't know how we're supposed to explain these things. This is what I can just like okay, let me do this thing. Okay, yeah, because I don't want this mess stuff again, because I already experienced this thing and I don't want that. Okay, so wait. Okay, yeah. I just had a breakfast. Thank God nothing really happened. Okay. Okay, so where was I? I was actually talking about the wrong thing. Okay. Like at the age of 15, baby A, baby B, and baby C, they are kind of like a do something wrong thing in their life. Okay. I already discussed regarding about the baby A, what is actually wrong thing that he might gonna do. He might gonna fall in love. It's not a wrong thing, but kind of like a kind of like a shifted things. Okay, yeah. Not exactly at the age of 15, 15 to 20 probably. Okay, now let's talk about the kind of like a baby B point of perspective, that he a baby B, what is exactly he might gonna do something wrong thing. Okay, so baby B, his environment is always been kind of like a scare of money, because his parents are actually struggling and things and that, and also baby B kind of like a surrounded by ethics too. Ethics are only one ethics is that ki you have to be kind of like a get educated, get higher score, and if you get the score you will kind of like a get a good job, and you when you get a good job you will kind of like a earn lot of amount of money. Now this is where talent is kind of like a kicked up in baby B. Okay, why? Because when you kind of like a represent as a kind of like a talent, then I'm gonna say is this thing that na ki it depends upon necessity. Baby A situation, talent is not really that much essential, even if the average talent would kind of like a get higher growth. Okay, but in this situation, if the person kind of like a showing the average talent, that particular person is not getting the growth, is kind of like a getting nothing really at all. Okay, yeah. And if that particular person not the talented, kind of like a less than average, then probably is this thing, it's very wrong. Because in this situation I already experienced this thing. Baby B situation are kind of like a focus on kind of like a education more, specifically marks. Okay, having great marks, good marks, good college, or things and that, and every person are trying to kind of like achieve that good grades and things and that, because they already experience the scarcity of the money and the things and that. So basically what is actually wrong thing they will gonna do, they will not gonna kind of like a go into the relationship. They might have kind of like a crush of somebody or things and that, because they have, but they not kind of like a proceed that much, or maybe they no one kind of like a tell them how to become into the relationship, nothing really at all. Even parents are not even supportive. Another thing is that ki career and education is very much essential for them, so they are kind of like a putting lot of stress in their head to kind of like achieve the marks. Okay, not education, marks. Because in India education is depends on how much you good marks that you get, it does not depend upon how much value that you get. Okay, in today's point of perspective. Okay, so in this B situation, baby B situation, people are kind of like a try to do kind of like a do more kind of like a getting good marks, good college, and things and that. Okay, now what is actually wrong thing in that? The wrong thing in that thing, their mind is a kind of like a prone towards put lot of effort in them, lot of effort, do study 2 hour, 5 hour, 7 hour, 10 hour non-stop study regarding about things and that. Even if you don't know anything regarding of physics, economics, still you study, you put lot of effort. In this situation, baby B situation, they put so much amount of effort in study. Okay, let me tell you one thing, the knowledge, if you put the effort in knowledge, that is not the knowledge, that is a stress. Okay, knowledge comes from read this much big book without any stress, that is called knowledge. I am reading this book, I don't really have any constraint to read the complete the I don't have any kind of like exam and things and that, but still I'm reading this book is because I wanted to, because I wanted to gain the knowledge. Okay, yeah. So by this process I'm gaining the knowledge. But if I'm gonna say I have a kind of like an exam and then I have to kind of like somebody give the right the exam thing, then this is not the knowledge, this is stress. Okay, yeah. And even if the Newton kind of like a telling me lot of amount of value in by this book, I will not gonna remember, I will not gonna implement nothing really at all, because my only main purpose to achieve the marks in exam. And how I do this thing, just kind of like a somebody just ratta, just kind of like a just parrot thing, and that's that. Okay, and this is kind of like a things are actually kind of like this is I kind of like a try to experience you to you kind of like a some difference between the kind of like a knowledge and kind of like a taking stress with the knowledge. And B situation, people are kind of like a taking so much stress. Okay, and because of they take so much of stress, what exactly happened? They put lot of effort in study because of their mind is kind of like a something is this thing focus on study or stress orientation. They kind of like a prone to get stress things and that. This is a wrong level over here. There is also even higher wrong level too. What's the higher wrong level? People put the study, they put lot of effort, but they didn't achieve or they didn't get the marks. They might gonna do suicide. Yeah, they might gonna do suicide. So those are the people. The baby B people are the people who are kind of like at the age of 15 to 20. They are not kind of like a getting good score in these things. They might think that the killing their life or end of the life is a kind of like a simply the solution for everything, because they experience their entire life to be kind of like a something money, because money is really essential. And without a job they also have ethics. Okay, and without a job you cannot able to be kind of like a somebody get money, and that job is a kind of like a depend on education, that education depend on marks, and if you didn't really get this much marks, then there is no worth of living. Okay, there is no worth of living. So mostly people in that situation, they might gonna end the life over here. Okay, so have you ever kind of like a seen a kind of like a news that a kind of like a particular people kind of like a do suicide because of the exam and things like that? Those are baby B people. Okay, baby B people who are kind of like a do the suicide and things and that. Okay, this is kind of like a wrong situation that baby B does. Now let's talk about baby C. Okay, what kind of like a baby C, what kind of like a they do wrong at the age of 15 to 20. Okay, so at the age of 15 to 20, baby B will kind of like a prone to do something even more wrong thing. What's the wrong thing? Because they don't really have ethics. Okay, they only have kind of like a earning money without a good way or bad way. They just want to earn money. Now good way, earning money good way, kind of like a prone towards stress, education and things and that, because but they will not gonna put that thing, because obviously their environment is not supportive regarding about the study and things and that. Right now things are a little bit good, but still I'm try to tell you from average point of perspective. Okay, yeah, so they are kind of like a prone to do little bit of wrong thing in their life. And what is that wrong thing? Stealing money or kind of like a things and that. Okay, now because of this thing, those people will kind of like have a little bit of criminal charges or things and that. Okay, what if the talent like does the talent is kind of like a work on over here, like what if the kind of like a the baby C is a kind of like a talented person, so will that particular person will kind of like use that talent? Well, yeah, that baby B particular person, if that particular person is a talented, but he will not going to use his talent for education. Why? Because education is a kind of like a way of influential instrument. If you have a kind of like a influence of people around you, situation that and that, then you will kind of like use your talent to education. But if the influence of education is not exist over here, or maybe exist in very less amount of it, then you use your talent for wrong purposes, like how you supposed to steal the money, how you supposed to steal the car, how you do this thing. The talent increase on over there. Okay, yeah. Even if you are not average talent in the baby C, still you kind of like use whatever the talent that you have to kind of like a things. Okay, let me tell you one thing. Both baby A, baby B, and baby C are average talented people. Those are not a kind of like a very good and very things. Still, I'm kind of like try to tell you a good talent, average talent and things and that. So whatever the talent that they have in a baby C, they will kind of like utilize for wrong purposes. Okay, they will not gonna do so much wrong. What's the so much wrong thing? Like a rape, or a kind of like a something that key, like killing somebody. They will not gonna do this thing because it's a higher level of criminal activity. They will not gonna perform at the age of 15 to 20. They will kind of like perform lower crime rate thing, stealing a money, stealing a car, kind of like a things and that. Okay, these are kind of like a things. Okay, the rape or maybe kind of like a thing. Okay, rape is will not gonna happen, but if I'm gonna say, they might gonna fall in love. Okay, and falling in love things is kind of like a very over here. Okay, let me tell you one thing. As I mentioned, being into the relationship, fall in love is a mistake. Now I'm gonna tell you how is that particular mistake. In the baby A situation, particular person fall in love and they kind of like a started relationship, love relationship, boyfriend girlfriend relationship. Okay, yeah. um, in B situation, same situation will gonna happen. They might gonna fall in love relationship, boy girl relationship, boyfriend girlfriend relationship probably. Okay, yeah. In this over here, if both people are actually falling in love, they will not gonna boyfriend girlfriend relationship, they will get married. They will get married over here. Okay, yeah. So basically the relationship start, boy girl relationship start over here, boy girl also relationship start over here, baby A, baby B. Baby C literally get married, literally get married. Like let's just say a kind of like a girl who kind of like a falling in love with particular boy in the kind of like a somebody same category of baby C. Okay, then what exactly happened, that key the parents are kind of like a prone towards that key. If she's a kind of like a, they are kind of like a grown up, like let's just say at the age of 19 or 20, so they are kind of like a grown up and things, and that parents might gonna think, because parents are kind of like a take off their load. Okay, at the baby B situation, parents are not want to kind of like a take the load and things, and that. Okay, yeah. Same goes with the kind of like a female and male. Okay, like basically they are kind of like a like each other and things, and that, and they don't really kind of like a things that kid fine, do it whatever you want, then they will kind of like a get married. Okay, yeah. And they get married, they kind of like somebody getting married literally at the age of kind of like somebody maybe 20 or 22, they kind of like a get married and things, and that they will not kind of start a relationship as a boy girl relationship. Okay, yeah. A kind of like a girl moves towards with the boy with kind of like a somewhere else, because it's not kind of like a things that na kind of like a boy kind of like a bring the girl as a kind of like a, this is my wife, it the baby situation. No, a boy kind of like a move somewhere else with the kind of like a girl, and they kind of like a get married and things, and that. There is a really good example of it. The Marathi movie name. The Marathi movie name. This is a very popular movie. Marathi name or Marathi movie. Which is like there is a very popular song about popular song about this kind of like a somebody which is kind of like a very much popular. This kind of like a somebody tell us the exact story of that kind of like a baby situation, what will really happen. Okay, from my point of perspective, I'm not really sure exactly is it, but still somewhat something that. Okay, yeah. Now this is kind of like a things. Now let's talk about at the age of 30, and this is the point where things got changed. Okay, literally change. Okay, yeah. Now at the age of 30, baby A is grown up. He have a talent, average talent, but he has a really good support structure. Support structure means what? When he went to the office, he has a kind of like a lot of employees or lot of kind of like a senior manager kind of like a give them experience or knowledge regarding about how that particular person will kind of like a become better because of the influence of their environment and things, and that. So that particular person will kind of like a higher chances to achieve lot of growth regarding about their career and things, and that, because even if the average talent. Okay, yeah. He might have his own house, he might get married, he is earning so much amount of money at the age of 30. At the age of 30, and he might consider he's a successful. He kind of like a set things thing. He's a kind of like a somebody successful. Now let's take a kind of like a somebody B example. Okay, at the age of 30, what exactly happened at the age of 30? Okay, at the age of 30, he realized if he survived that kind of like a somebody that he stress and education and things, and that he might kind of like a get a kind of like a job, not really good, not really bad, a kind of like a decent job, not really too much. Okay, yeah. And in that decent amount of job, he's try to kind of like a survive, because the EMI money and things, and money has always been issues and things, and that, but it's not really that, but it is issue. He is a kind of like a, he's married, like in the both the situation, baby B is kind of like a married at the age of 30. Okay, yeah. They married, but they have kind of like a money issues and things, and that. Okay, same thing like the father that repeats the cycle in the baby B, same son is also repeat the same cycle. Okay, they kind of like a married, but kind of like a have same kind of like a money issues and things, and that. Okay, yeah. And baby C is also married. Okay, he did kind of like a lot of went to the criminal activity and things, and that, but it's not really that he kind of like a suffer that criminal activity for rest of the lifetime. Let's just say he kind of like somebody steal a car at the age of 17, and he kind of like went to the police and kind of like somebody do his a kind of like somebody criminal. He had criminal charges, not maybe, but somewhat something. I'm not really sure, but kind of like a have. But he kind of like aware of that. Ki no, I shouldn't supposed to do this thing because in here ethics came over here. Okay, let me tell you one thing. The ethics came when the baby A born. Baby B born, ethics came with when he born. Okay, like baby A, baby B kind of like a get the same ethics at the same time. Baby C kind of like a get the ethics at after the age of 20, after the age of things, because he made a mistake, and after he made a mistake he realized that ki, this is a mistake. Ethics came over here. Ethics came over here. Okay, this is kind of like a disadvantage of baby baby C, that he they didn't really kind of like a get that ethics early stage in this life. Okay, yeah. So that's why they are kind of like try to do kind of like a criminal thing or things and that. Okay, yeah. So he got the ethics. He understand the life. He understand that he like basically we have to be kind of like a thing. So he's a kind of like a try to put a lot of effort to get a job, and he kind of like a get a job in a factory worker. Okay, factory worker. Let's compare the salary. Okay, because salary is a kind of like a somewhat something is associated with the kind of like a something how much credible they have. Baby A salary, let's just say 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees salary. Okay, starting like the career is just start and they got 1 lakh rupees salary. Baby A, baby B getting salary 35,000, 35 or maybe 40,000. Mostly 30-35. It is also too much, but still I'm telling from today's point of perspective. Okay, 30-35. Okay, this is the baby B. Baby C getting the salary of let's just say 15,000. Yeah, 20 to 15,000. That's it, and they are try to survive the life in that whatever the kind of like a money that they have. Obviously, having good amount of money, that particular person like baby A person will kind of like a went to the abroad, kind of like a do something like a vacations or kind of like a buy car or things, even if the kind of like a family structure support that him to kind of like a do something things. So the money burden is not available over here, not really that much. Okay, yeah. The money burden is actually over here too much. Now what is actually happened, like let me tell you one thing now. The life has a kind of like a something like a the ups and down. It actually happened at the age of 30. Like a this is the kind of like age of 30. Okay, imagine this is the age of 30, and in after the age of 30 life is became settled. Mostly I'm telling from average point of perspective, life is being settled, and whatever the kind of like a simply the kind of like a life you choose, the life goes this way. Okay, yeah. A growth, and growth is a that's a linear growth. Okay, what's a linear growth? Let me tell you one thing. 2 to the 4, 4 to the 6, 6 to the 8 means every single step 2 step are increase. That is called linear growth. Means like that today I have a salary of 1 lakh rupees. 2 year after I might have a salary maybe kind of like a 1,40,000. 3 year I might have kind of like a salary of kind of like a simply 1,40,000. Like do you understand? This is a kind of like a growth, but linear growth. Exponential growth is not. Okay, exponential growth is actually happened after the age of 50. After the age of 50, how what exactly happened after the age of 50? I'm gonna tell you. Let me tell you. I'm gonna tell you everything. But like this is what actually happened at the age of 30. That key, you are kind of like a settle, and right now you are kind of like simply diving in, being very smooth. Because after the age of 30, life is became smooth. Life is became kind of like a things that whatever the kind of like a path you chose, you just have to walk on that path. Just walk on that path. That's it. Okay, yeah. And the kind of like a get the linear growth. Baby, this is a kind of like a something like this thing. Baby A is actually born with a kind of like a lot of good qualities, lot of things, and that. So baby A will not have any kind of like a something that key, not have any kind of like some urges to earn more money. Urges, I'm telling you, urges to earn more money. Why? Because he already have more money. He's earning money, lot more than that. Obviously he also get kind of like influence from his parents or things, and he also get earn more money. There is nothing really less of it, so he is kind of like a good in everything. Wait, Oh boy. So where was I? Um, at the age of 30? Yeah, at the age of 30. Okay, so at the age of 30, baby A is does not really have any urges to earn more money because he already have more money. So he will kind of like a life is became settled. Okay, there is a kind of like a one thing I'm gonna tell you. Settled life is a kind of like a very vague thing. Because of he born in a baby A situation where he kind of like a get influence from lot of good people. Uh, Good people kind of like a give the influence that he kind of like a start your business, run your business, or maybe kind of like a simply do something really good, like do a kind of like a simply graduation or post graduation in kind of like a higher study on somewhere another countries and things and that. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing, the purpose is actually created in the kind of like a simply baby A situation. What is exactly that purpose? Mostly get even more rich by kind of like a doing a business or doing something that kind of like add value in their life. So purpose actually created, and people are kind of like a try to achieve that purpose with the settled life, because they those are kind of like somebody having money and kind of like a things and that. So they have a purpose with the settled life and they are try to achieve that things. Okay, yeah. Mostly I'm trying to from average point of perspective. The average point of perspective, baby A people are kind of like a more towards earn more money, so they kind of like a somebody, they will not consider them life is as a settle, because when they consider their life is a kind of like a settle, then they will kind of like a went down. Okay, they will not because their influence, their family and things always kind of like a let them influence to kind of like a try to have a purpose in their life, and they will try to do this thing more and more. Okay, yeah. So they will kind of like a somebody, they will have a settled life with a kind of like a purpose, and they are putting the effort on achieving their purpose to start a business or kind of like a whatever it is to kind of like a build more money and things like that, with ethics and with kind of like a right tools and things like that. And this is a kind of like a way they'll kind of like do this thing with kind of like earn more money. Okay, yeah. They will try, they might gonna fail, but they will try, they will gonna try. Now let's talk about the B people. What is actually at the age of B people? The salary is 35, not really that much. Trying to survive, just trying to survive. Regarding about the EMI, rent, and whatever it is, they are trying to survive and things and that. They are both married, and kind of like a baby C is a kind of like a somebody doing a kind of like a somebody same as a kind of like a somebody working a factory worker, kind of like a doing a job, 15,000 salary. Okay, yeah. Now there is a transition actually happen over here. What is actually transition? The transition actually happened is that this actual transition happened to baby B and baby C, but that transition does not happen to everybody. It happened very selective. Like basically, let me tell you one thing now. This is the end of the story, end of this thing. Okay, the exponential growth, baby A kind of like a getting the exponential growth, they kind of like earn more money, they will kind of like a getting, so they are kind of like a these are people, baby B and baby C getting the linear growth. Okay, yeah. 35,000 salary, 50,000 salary, 70,000 salary, 1 lakh rupees salary after the age of 5-10 year things and that. Okay, this is called kind of like a linear growth. Factory worker, what kind of like a salary that they get? Like a 15,000 rupees, 20,000 rupees, 25,000 rupees, 30, 50,000 rupees. That is a linear growth. They are both getting the linear growth. Okay, yeah. And the A person is a kind of like a getting the exponential growth. Because of that, he has a settled life, plus he wanted have purpose to kind of like run the business and things and that. So the whatever the kind of like growth that he get, even if he kind of like a fail, he will try because he already have a settled life. So he will try and he will achieve the goals, and he will kind of like get exponential growth. What's the exponential growth? Salary 1 lakh rupees, within a year 10 lakh, within a year 20 lakh, within a year maybe kind of like a 50 lakhs, 1 crore. Yeah, the graph is kind of like a push even more higher and things and that. Okay, yeah. So he will kind of like get the exponential growth, A person. B person get the linear growth, and this is the end of the story. This is the end of the story, yeah. And this is what kind of like averagely happened to the everybody. I'm telling you from 95 point of perspective. Okay, obviously my data is not right. Obviously my looking at the perspective is completely not right. Maybe I kind of like missed some sort of point, but this is what I kind of like somebody experienced through it this time. So the rich person born in rich family have a higher chances to become more rich. Okay, but the same person who are kind of like a born kind of like a these class, they will not gonna kind of like a become rich, or they will not gonna become that much amount of money. And success that we kind of like a mention. Usually people kind of like a represent success through regarding about how much money that they have. Okay, so this is what is it. This is what it is. Okay, now transition happened only 1% kind of like people, only 1%, and that transition actually happened in baby B and baby C transition, but it only happened to the only 1% of the people. 95% of people actually kind of like focusing on that linear growth. Okay, yeah, and they will not gonna perform anything. Only 1%, maybe even less than that, will kind of like do the transition. What's the transition? A transition is a kind of like somebody understand that he life now till the age of 30, they understand the life regarding about what is actually life, and they wanted to achieve and things and that. Okay, yeah. And because of this thing, they are understand regarding about they wanted to get away from that cycle. Okay, what is exactly cycle? Example, particular person, A baby, is born in rich family. His son is became more richer, maybe not that much richer, but kind of like somewhat something, let's just say 10% higher than family, or maybe 10%, or maybe equivalent to his father. Okay, let's just say a kind of like let's step by step. Generation 1, generation 2, generation 3, generation 4. Generation, these are kind of like a generation are from rich class family. So let's just say a kind of like how much rich we consider as a kind of like somebody, let's just say scale of 1 to 10. This is a kind of like a rich, maybe kind of like somebody, let's just say 10 out of maybe kind of like somebody. Scale is not kind of like a things over here. Scale does not kind of like represent the exact things, but let's just kind of like understand. Okay, yeah. This particular generation 1 is a kind of like a somebody kind of like a 8% rich. His son means next generation 10%, or maybe 9%, or maybe 8%, but probably he will not gonna go down. He will kind of like always go up, maybe little less, but kind of like a things. The next generation will kind of like a 9.5 or maybe 10. Okay, the next generation is a kind of like a somebody understand, and they will kind of like a try to earn money, and they will kind of like a get a higher jump, maybe kind of like a 20 or 25 things and that, and regarding about the rich scale. Okay, yeah, things and that. Example, let's just say a kind of like a Tata. Okay, Tata family is a, let's just say generation 1, generation 2, generation 3, generation. Okay, so the generation kind of like a bottom generation are kind of like somebody just survive and things and that. Generation 2 is a kind of like somebody really good in growth and things and that, but not really that much. But generation 3, Ratan Tata, is a kind of like exponential growth. So generation is a kind of like a things. Same goes with a kind of like a Dhirubhai Ambani. Dhirubhai Ambani is a kind of like a started a business. His son is a kind of like a somebody exponential. The immersive growth is actually happening only second generation. Okay, the Mukesh Ambani is a kind of like a became so much higher. It became the kind of like one of the toppest richest person in the world. So kind of like a things, that generation kind of like a leap. Okay, yeah. So basically the more credibility that you have to kind of like a somebody assisting, when you kind of like a rich, your next generation would be kind of like a became more rich. It's a kind of like a somebody It's a natural cycle, by the way. It's not a kind of like a, simply the ethics and things and why does kind of like a rich people always get richer is not because of kind of like a things. It's because of the kind of like a environment that they have. The science and nature is kind of like a somebody support them because of the kind of like a support structure that they created throughout the year and things and that whatever the knowledge that they get at the age of 10, you will kind of like get the same knowledge at the age of 30. Okay, yeah, so this kind of like a things, not just a knowledge, information, experience and things. Because of this thing, these people have a kind of like higher chances to prone to kind of like a become more earn money and more kind of like a richer and things, and this is a kind of like a nature cycle. Okay, today's point of perspective. Yeah, today's point of perspective, because in the future things might be kind of like a really things, because since right now we are living, we are kind of like a move towards such a world where kind of like AI and everyone kind of like have even playing field. So because of this thing right now, everyone kind of like became richer and things and that. But I'm telling you from today's point of perspective. In the future, I'm not really sure. I'm telling you from today's point of perspective. Okay, future might be kind of like I don't know about that. Okay, this is kind of like a things, and 95% of people are kind of like a, towards the B people, and C people are kind of like a do the linear transition. Okay, linear kind of like a growth transition happen over here to the B and C. They understand that ki life is what, and they understand that ki why am I kind of like a stuck into that loop. What is that loop? As I mentioned, this loop, the father is kind of like a became richer, son is kind of like a became more richer. This is the loop. Same thing, the father is a kind of like earning 35 salary, the son is kind of like earning 35 salary or maybe 40 salary, his son is kind of like a became 50 salary. So basically is this thing, the loop is kind of like a thing. Same goes with it. He's a kind of like a father was a rozgar. Right now he's right now he's a kind of like a factory worker. His son is also became a kind of like a somebody started his kind of like a somebody a shop, maybe kind of like a things, but kind of like a loop. Do you understand? This is everyone is kind of like a doing through loop. This is kind of like a loop, this is loop, and this is also loop too. Okay, and these are kind of like everyone kind of like a follow the loop. The people who are try to break the loop, who are those people? B people and C people. They will try to break the loop. And how they break the loop? By kind of like a putting effort on something that they want. They understand their life is really fuck. If they are kind of like a try to do this thing, they will not gonna survive for longer period of time. They will always have kind of like a scarcity of money and things and that. So they will try to figure it out. How should you supposed to be kind of like a make our life much more better? And in that situation, they put something effort in their life to kind of like do something. The amount like basically is this thing. Both B people, both A, B, C people are average kind of like a things. But because of the average, they are kind of like a something understand the life, and they try to, I don't know what they will gonna do, but they will try to put the effort to kind of like a something that key earn more money or getting more succeed. B person kind of like a somebody try to do kind of like a somebody job, as well as kind of like he will kind of like a married with such a girl who is kind of like a doing a job. Okay, and kind of like a both are earning money, but kind of like a so this is what actually happened. Okay, the transition actually happened to the B and C people, and they are kind of like a try to make their life is much more better. This is actually happened only 1% of the people. 95% of people actually focus on linear growth. This is the story. Thank you.